Greetings, my human friends. This again is Rudolf of Germany, the tall white alien. In the early morning hours of April the 9th, 2017. Why do I address you so late at night? Well, simply because I think I owe you an explanation, and simply I believe people have the right, in case of a third world war, before they get nuked, as the Americans call it so interestingly, or being burned or shot, at least to get an explanation why they get burned and nuked. Because if you have to die in a third world war and have absolutely no clue what happened to you and why, I don't think this is fair. Naturally, I still believe that something can be done about this third world war, and I will try my very best of influence to avoid this horrific scenario. So, let's start. I would like to give you the explanation why Donald Trump turned from a peace-loving man who became the president because many Americans voted for him, because they were tired of the constant involvement of Americans all over the world and splundering the money and killing people, and wanted to sit back, take care for their own affairs and leave other people alone. That's what they voted him for, and 2 days ago he just made a 180-degree turn and turned into a warmonger, and the first few casualties on his account have been practically executed. So if Donald Trump didn't have any bloody hands before in his life, at least when it comes to people who got killed, now he can make his first body count, and let's see how many more people he will be responsible for who are going to lose their lives. But well, we all know that. I have made some notes here. I want to explain to you very simply why Donald Trump is doing what he is doing. And so far nobody I have been watching in the press and on YouTube have given you a clear explanation for it. Naturally, we, the tall white aliens, have our own intelligence agency, and we have also a dossier on every single important person on planet Earth. And that does not exclude Mr. Donald Trump. So let me tell you what pressed Mr. Donald Trump to do what he did 2 days ago when he gave the order to throw 59 cruise missiles onto an airstrip in Syria, and as a result several people got killed. And again, he just told a few hours ago the American Senate that he will reserve himself the right to give the order of more airstrikes and further involvement in Syria. The consequences of that, while the Russian fleet is already standing right behind the American ships, the result of that, everyone with a half brain can figure out for themselves. But let's start with an episode which happened in 1987, when Mr. Donald Trump, back then much younger of course and more adventurous, bought his first casino. He bought let me check my notes here, a 93% stake of the Resort International, that's the holding company for these casinos, which later on he owned 3. The people behind it and further shareholders of Resort International were, at this point of time, Meyer Lansky, Tibor Rosenbaum, David Rockefeller, and last not least, the gentleman with the name Baron Edward the Rothschild, or, as we Germans say, Rothschild. These were the people he got involved with already in the late 80s of the last century. Then when it was 1989, Mr. Donald Trump got into very deep financial trouble, and he almost lost not only all three casinos, but got very close to total bankruptcy. Many of you can still recall that time because it was a public issue at this time. So, who was it who helped Donald Trump out of the misery of complete bankruptcy? Well, you guessed it. A certain gentleman that I want to say before, with the name of Wilbur Ross, who is right now, who was back then, the director of the Rothschild Bank, who gave Donald Trump the green light and all the money he needed to save his financial and his real estate empire. So Wilbur Ross was the employee of the Rothschild Bank who financed Donald Trump again and helped him out of another one of his devastating financial and business decisions. It is the same Wilbur L. Ross who today, just pure accidentally, is the Secretary of Commerce in the Donald Trump administration. Isn't that very interesting? Naturally, the same Wilbur Ross is still the right-hand man and advisor of Mr. Rothschild. So, there you have a very interesting connection, wouldn't you say so? Since the Rothschilds, the major family and power people behind the deep state and the globalization movement, which is pushing for war and had also Mrs. Hillary Clinton on their playlist. Well, this gives you a little bit of insight, but I want to give you some other piece of information which will cement this kind of connection a little bit further. Let me take a look again. Well, Nathan Rothschild, of course, which should also be known to you, the banker, had a relationship before Donald Trump did marry her with Ivanka Trump. So, they shared the same wife. The Rothschild family and Donald Trump shared the same woman. What else is there? Okay, this basically shows you the connection between these two families, and of course Donald Trump has been so much financed over and over again and interwoven with the Rothschilds that eventually comes the payday, the payback day. He has to pay simply back his debts he owes the Rothschild family. And he doesn't do it in monetary terms, but he does it with a little favor, creating a devastating world war, which again, like already back in Napoleon's times, the Rothschild always financed all sides involved. This way, the Rothschilds pin one group against the other, in this case when it comes to the Near East, many different groups, and then again, of course, the United States against Russia, and will cement their personal power structure, their personal agenda, and their pocketbook as well even further than they have before. And little Donald Trump, who cannot count to 10 on his own, will be a very willing partner in this game again. He is being already trained for over 30 years to become either the President of the United States this time, or if Hillary Clinton would have won thereafter. This is the story why Donald Trump turned onto the American people and is willing and able to risk a world war to pay back his debts to the Rothschild dynasty. This is Rudolf of Germany. Good night.